Niger kicks out Orano, a French multinational nuclear cycle corporation. What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. It's happening in Niger. Here is a map. This is Niger. Beautiful people. Great country. They have kicked out Orano. This is a massive French multinational nuclear cycle corporation. So what does Orano do? Orano mines uranium. What is uranium? Uranium is a mineral like gold, diamond, and many other things. But uranium is used for something very specific. Uranium is used for multiple purposes. For power generation, for instance, you can use uranium in nuclear reactors to create electricity. France has been mining uranium for the past 71 years in this country. They use Niger uranium to create electricity and sell electricity to other European countries. Yes, France is the biggest exporter, biggest seller of electricity in the world. Where do they get electricity from? Well, they get uranium from Niger. In the meantime, Nigerians themselves have no electricity. A lot of them live in poverty. They have no power. They sleep in the dark. Uranium is also used for military research, like the nuclear bomb. They use uranium for that. Like Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan, that's the cities that were bombed by America during World War II. Those bombs were created based on the uranium that was extracted in Shinkolobwe, that is in DRC. Yes, that's what they use to bomb the Japanese. Uranium is also used for medical purposes, medical research, for treatment such as cancer. They use uranium. So uranium is very much sought after. They need it for many things. And Niger is the fourth biggest exporter, producer of uranium in the world. So therefore, about 15% of France's energy comes from Niger, and France uses that to export and sell to other countries. Now, Orano has been based in Niger for 71 years. They've been there since, as you can imagine, longest time ever. Niger was colonized by the French. Like many other African countries, they were subjected to the most ruthless tyranny you can possibly think about. But in the 1960s, after the independence, the French told the Nigerians that you are free. You can now do whatever you want to do. You can vote your own leaders, you can be happy and all that stuff. But in the meantime, they actually kept the economies of these countries by the balls. In other words, Orano, which is a French company, had preferential treatment in the mining of the Nigerian uranium. Let me give you an example. Orano bought the Nigerian uranium for 0.8 euros a kilogram. Meanwhile, buying the same quality of uranium from Canada. Guess how much they pay for it? 200 euros per kilogram. So they paid $0.80 for 1 kilogram of the Nigerian uranium, while paying 200 euros for the same kilogram, same quality uranium bought from the Canadians. How do you explain that? Very difficult, because they do not respect Africans. Now, something drastic has happened in Niger very recently. Mohamed Bazoum, this is Mohamed Bazoum, used to work as the president of the country for many years, and he was very friendly with the French. He allowed them to mine as they please and set the price as they please. So French really loved him because he was a nice guy to them, but not necessarily nice to the local people. So after many years, Nigerians were very tired on how things were run. So they wanted a change. They wanted schools, electricity, and service delivery, and many other things. They decided to topple their own president. Nigerians said, enough is enough with toppling our president. Now, the president was very lucky they didn't unalive him. They toppled him, put him on house arrest, and a new group of people who were basically military took over the power. These were generals and many other servicemen that took over the power. Now, this group of people have completely changed the focus of Niger from Western-oriented to Russia-oriented. Now, they're dealing with the Russians. For many years, Niger hosted French and American military in the country. The reason for their presence was to fight terrorism across the country, a terrorism that crippled the part of the country. So the French and the Americans were in Niger with the goals of training the Nigerian on how to fight against terrorists. Now, Americans spent a lot of money on building a base in Niger. It was a drone base. They used those drones to surveil that area of Africa, looking for terrorists, making sure America's happy. I mean, you would ask yourself a question. How do you go all the way to Africa to try to secure America? Now, who wants you that bad that you have to go across the world to secure yourself? It's weird. Why doesn't Germany do that? Why doesn't Italy do that? Why doesn't Spain have soldiers all across Japan to secure Spain? It's a big question. Unless you have issues with everybody, then you should be worried about that. Americans spent a lot of money building this American military base in Niger. Now, a few months ago, the new government in Niger asked them to leave, in the same way they had asked previously the French soldiers to leave. I think you got the context. The brand new government in Niger want things changed. They want everything renegotiated. And we're talking here about the Orano contract. All these mining companies that have been in the country looting, stealing, taking away from the people for the longest time, without building even a railroad on how to export these minerals, are being questioned and suffocated. Now, as of September 20th, 2023, Niger's military government increased the price of uranium from 0.80 euros to 200 euros per kilogram. Congratulations to them. Applause. That's how you change the country. If you don't value yourself, nobody can value you, right? Niger is the 7th largest producer of uranium, and in 2022, it was the European Union's 2nd largest supplier of natural uranium. So, not just France, but Europe in its entirety needs Niger. But in the same time, Niger's people are poor people. They have no food, no electricity. How do you explain that? Now, how did we get to this? When the military government came into power, kicking out Mohamed Bazoum, France got very angry. And France has a very strong influence over many countries in West Africa. Because of that influence, some experts believe France triggered these countries to blockade Niger. In that, I mean, France spoke to these countries, literally telling them, you know what? Do not allow Niger to do any business through your country. Now, how is that possible? As you can see, look at the map again. This is Niger. Niger is an in-locked country. So it is inside the continent. It has no border to the sea. And why is the sea important? The sea is very important for import and export. Basically, you would say, why don't you just export or import using airplanes? Well, it's very costly and not very practical. It's very difficult to export and import. Imagine a container or multiple containers in an airplane. You can only send so much containers in an airplane. But through the sea, you can send multiple containers of whatever good you want to exchange. So countries near the sea have an advantage on commerce like that. Now, country inland, what they do generally, they have agreement with these countries near the sea so they can have their trades being done through the countries by the sea. Now, all these countries by the sea have issues with Niger because Niger decided to take over the government. People say it's because France told those countries blockade Niger. The goal was to asphyxiate the economy of Niger by blocking it from extracting or bringing in any goods. And by good, I mean food, medicine, things of first necessity, and all that stuff. And what makes me very sad is these countries are Africans. I mean, Africans called each other brother. Oh, my brother, my brother, my brother. But my brothers were ready to asphyxiate a brother in the name of European country. Because that's how they are. Puppets. They put them into power. You can loot as much as you like. We're never going to call you dictator as long as you allow our companies to come and loot as well. Now, whichever country has a leader that says, I'm actually now working for the interest of my people and not your interest, is called dictator. And they will do anything they can to topple him. The bottom line is these countries of the ECOWAS came together trying to put together a military force to go and topple the military government in Niger after they toppled Mohamed Bazoum, who was doing absolutely nothing for the Nigerian people. But why did France like Bazoum? Because Bazoum allowed them to enter the country, do whatever they like, take goods and whichever price as they please. The new government wants to check every little contract and make sure it's benefiting the people of Niger. That is how we've got into this. Now, they say the French have made a big mistake. What is the mistake? It was France that wanted the border with Benin to be closed. It must take responsibility and accept to suffer with Niger, which has found a way to circumvent the isolation that was desire of it. So in other words, they're saying France wanted Niger to be blockaded. Okay, and hoping to asphyxiate Niger. Now that Niger has blocked his border against all these other countries because the borders are completely closed. Why are the borders closed? The borders are closed because Niger believes in Benin. You can see this is Benin, this is Niger. Again, this is Benin, this is Niger. Nigerians believe in Benin. There are French soldiers that are stationed, waiting for an opportunity to jump into Niger and go and topple the current government. So Niger believe Benin is in bed with the French with the goal of toppling the government. Therefore, they've closed the border. They're not going to open it. Now, by closing the border, something drastic has happened. People from Benin used to go to Niger to sell their good. Yeah, now they cannot do it anymore. The people in Benin are suffering more. Benin started by closing the border. When Niger came into power, when the new government came into power, the goal was to isolate Niger. But by doing that, they did not think about one thing that was very crucial, that the people of Benin needs to go to Niger to sell some of their goods. Now, when Benin realized that, they said, okay, let's open the border so we can be back to peace. Niger said, no, we're not opening the border, because we know you have cooperated with the French so they can station their soldiers and forces in your country with the goal of whenever we open the border, they can just sneak in like spies and start a mayhem. And that's the situation. Now, Orano is suffering because Orano cannot export or import through Benin anymore because Benin closed the border and Niger refused to open the border. And now, many people believe Niger has adopted this stance with the goal of pushing Orano outside the country. You know, they have contracts. You can't just annulate a contract. You need to find malicious ways to break a contract, or else you're going to be sent to court. As of September 19, Niger adopted a draft decree creating a state company named Timor Soy National Uranium Company, which could take over exploitation in the country and separate definitely from the French group. So Niger, in other words, has created its own company that will come and replace Orano. And they're trying to kick out Orano in the most smoothest way possible, making it difficult for them to export and accusing France of being responsible for the blockade they are experimenting right now. Again, Niger has blocked Orano. Orano has been mining in Niger for the past 71 years. They've been extracting uranium that is necessary for the creation of electricity that has made France the biggest exporter of electricity in the world. Meanwhile, many people in Niger are sleeping in the dark. Well, this is going to change with the new government. Let me know how you feel about this. Is this a good move for Niger? Do you think they should continue to blockade Benin, or they should say, okay, my brother, let's just, be fine? I want to know from you. God bless.